Hello, and welcome back to our second lecture video, if you will, dealing with Chapter 14, Partnership Formations and Operations. And in this video, we're going to go over an example here, and we're going to look at problem number 22. And we have it right here on the screen. Alfred, Beeson, and Carlton have operated a coffee shop for a number of years as a partnership, at the beginning of 2024. They give us the capital balances, and they are as follows. Alfred has $60,000, Beeson has $40,000, and Carlton has $20,000. Now, they go on to say that due to cash shortage, Alfred invests an additional $8,000 in the business on April 1st, 2024. They go on to tell us that each partner is allowed to withdraw $1,000 cash each month. The partners have used the same method of allocating profits and losses since the business's inception. And they give us 3 bullet points here. Each partner is given the following compensation allowance for work done in the business. Alfred gets salary or compensation of $18,000, Beeson $25,000, and Carlton $8,000. Each partner is credited with interest equal to 10% of the average monthly capital balance for the year without regard to normal drawings. They go on to tell us that any remaining profit or loss is allocated 4-2 to 4 to Alfred, Beeson, and Carlton respectively. The net income for 2024 is $23,600. Each partner draws the allotted amount each month. And what they want us to do is to prepare a schedule calculating the partner's 2024 ending capital balance. So as you can see here, this problem really hits after learning objective 4, learning objective 5, and learning objective -6, which says they want us to use both the learning objective number 4 states that they want us to use both bonus method and goodwill method to record partners' capital investment. They want us to demonstrate the impact that the allocation of partnership income has on the partner's individual capital balance. And they also want us to allocate income to the partners when interest and or salary factors are included. So we're hitting all 3 of those learning objectives in this video, okay? So what I want to do, or what I'm going to do, is pull up Excel here. Make it a little bigger, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and basically get started on the problem, which states that they want us to show how we're going to allocate income and determine capital balances. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of create a little chart here, or a little spreadsheet. And bear with me as I move some things around. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is recognize that, hey, we got 3 partners here, and each of these partners are going to be allocated net income, but they're also going to be allocated interest and salaries. So first person we're going to start off with is Alfred. Then we're going to put in Beeson. And then we're going to put in Carlton. Okay. Now, we know that the first thing we have first thing that we have here is our net income. Okay, and we know from the problem they told us that net income is a given. We don't have to calculate it. It was $23,600. Okay, $23,600. That was our net income. It really helps if you can spell too. Okay, so now what we need to do is figure out what is the interest that each partner is going to get. Okay, so let's think about that for a minute, right? We have interest. Let's go back to our book. We know that each of these owners are going to get are going to receive 10% interest based on their average monthly balance. Right now, Alfred is the only one that we're going to have to calculate the average for. Why? Because they tell us in the problem that, hey, due to a cash shortage, Alfred injected cash into the business by investing an additional $8,000 into the business. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of come down here, and what we're going to do is we're going to calculate Alfred's interest allocation. Interest allocation. Okay? So first thing we need to figure out is, well, what's his total balance, right, in his capital account? Well, first we need to recognize that we're going to have to take an average here, right? So from the balance from 1/1 through April 1, because remember they say in April he contributes an additional $8,000. So for those first 3 months, his capital the balance of his account is $60,000. Okay, so to do that calculation, all I'm going to do is say, okay, well, we have his beginning capital balance of $60,000, and we're going to multiply that by 3 for 3 months. Okay, we get $180,000. Bear with me here. Okay, now we also need to figure out what's the balance during or from April 1st through December 31st. Okay, and that's pretty easy for us to calculate because we know that at the beginning of April, Alfred contributes $8,000. So that means that his capital balance is going to be $68,000 times the 9 months. Where'd I get 9 months from? Well, April through December. I get 612. Okay? So if I add these two up, bear with me here. Let's do it the long way. So that means the total of his capital balance is $792,000. But we want to figure out what is it per month, right? What's the average per month? So what we're going to do is we're going to take 12 months, which is the number of months in a year, and we're going to divide that by the total. We get 66,000. That 66,000 represents the average monthly capital balance. Okay? Now, scroll up here a little bit. Remember, what we're trying to calculate here is that interest at 10%. And that interest is based on their capital balance. Is based on their capital balance. Okay? So what we needed to do was figure out, well, what's the average for Alfred? The Alfred for Beeson and Carlton are going to be the same. Why? Well, because they didn't contribute any money into the business. Right? It was only Alfred. So we're going to calculate that interest rate. Which we said was 10%. So we can see then bear with me here, folks. There we go. So we can see then that the interest that Alfred is going to receive at the end of the year is going to be $6,600. So I'm going to plug that in. $6,600. Okay? Oh, need to come down one. And bear with me here. Okay, so now Benson, we need to figure out, well, what is Benson's capital account? Now, before we go on further, I probably should have done this at the beginning. I apologize. I don't know why I didn't. I'm going to put the beginning balance up here. Okay, so with Alfred, we started with 6,000 or 60,000. Benson was 40,000, and Carlton was 20,000. Okay, and that's going to be their beginning balance, right? So now we need to figure out, okay, well, how much interest does Beeson get paid, and how much interest does Carlson get paid? Well, think about it. Their capital balance over the year didn't change, right? They didn't contribute anything, so it really didn't change. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply their average balance, which is that 40,000, and multiply it by 10%. We get 4,000. And then we do the same thing for Carlton. Well, Carlton's balance didn't change, or his capital balance did not change throughout the year. So we're just going to take the balance of 20,000, multiply that by 10%. We get 2,000. So what we're doing here is we're allocating interest, we're allocating salaries, then we're going to allocate net income, okay? But as we go through, we're going to see that, hey, first we got to take out the interest, okay? And we got to apply that to the net income. Then we got to apply the salaries that we get to take. We got to apply that to net income, okay? And then we distribute whatever's left, okay? So I'm going to add these up. That should work. No, that did not. There we go. We got 12,600. Okay. So now, remember, each of our guys or gals, we're not sure what Benson is or Beeson, but we know that each of them get salaries. Alfred gets 18,000 in compensation as a salary. Beeson, she gets 25,000 as a compensation, and Carlton gets $8,000. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and plug those into our spreadsheet. Right, here's the salaries that they get. Okay, so remember, Alfred gets 18,000. Beeson, she gets 25,000. And Carlton, he gets 8,000. Okay? So if we add all these up, which one can't I find? There we go. I'm going to sum all these up, and I see that that's $51,000. Okay? So what's the remainder to allocate? What's the remainder to allocate? Okay, and that's what we're going to find out here. Well, we start off with net income, right? We have to deduct out the total amount of interest that each partner received. Then we have to subtract out the salaries. We end up with negative $40,000. So that means there's a loss that we need to then allocate, okay? Really, really easy to allocate because in the problem, bear with me here, in the problem, they tell us that after we deduct out the interest, after we deduct out the salaries, right, what's left from net income? Well, obviously we burned through our profit, right? We had net income of 23,600. Each of us got interest. Each of us got salaries. Well, the remainder, there's no net income left. There's a loss. We need to allocate that loss. It's going to be allocated on a basis of 4 to 2 to 4. Okay, so that's pretty easy. How do we do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to Alfred, and we're going to say, well, there's a $40,000 deficit to allocate. Alfred gets allocated $16,000 of the loss. I'm going to take the same 40,000. I'm going to multiply it by 0.2, which is the 4 to 2 to 4, the 2 for Benson. Benson, she gets $8,000 of the loss. and Carlton gets 16,000. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well, what's the total to allocate? Well, that's easy. We're just going to take the difference of each of their, bear with me here, each of their totals. Okay, so we see that for Alfred, we're going to allocate 8,000 or 8,600. For Benson, we're going to allocate 21,000. Okay, and then for Carlton, we're going to allocate 6,000 of the loss. Okay, and actually that loss is actually making him go lower. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to do the statement of partnership capital. Okay, so super easy for us to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come right over here, right next to it, and we're going to create our statement of partnership capital. There we go. Statement of partnership capital. Okay. And then we're going to, again, list Alfred. Come over here. Alfred. Beeson. And Carlton. Okay. We start off with the beginning balances. Which we knew Alfred's was 60,000. Bear with me here for 1 second. Alfred's was 60,000. Benson's beginning balance was 40,000, and Carlton's beginning balance was 20,000. Okay. Then we need to factor in any additional contributions. Well, we knew Alfred put in 8 grand. We knew Benson didn't put any in. We knew Carlton didn't put any in either. Bear with me. I also want to create a totals column here. Okay. So then we're just going to basically plug and chug. We're going to calculate, okay, how much of the net income is then going to be allocated. Okay, so that's easy. We already calculated that, right? That net income that's going to be allocated is going to be for Alfred, it's going to be the 8,600. Oh, for Alfred, it's going to be the 8,600. For Beeson, it's going to be the 21,000. And then for Carlton, it's going to be the negative 6,000. Okay. Now, so we went ahead and we said, okay, we're going to take the beginning balance. We're going to add any contributions that were possibly made. We're going to add net income, right? The amount of net income that gets allocated, which we previously calculated right here. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to take out the drawings, right? The problem told us that everybody took out $1,000 per month. So that's a total of $12,000. There we go. Okay. So now, once we take out the drawings, we can now calculate the ending capital. To do that, all we got to do is just sum everything up. Bear with me here. All we need to do is sum everything up. And we get an ending balance for Alfred as being $64,600. And the same goes for Beeson, right? Beeson's her ending capital is $49,000, while Carlton's ending balance is $2,000. Okay, so again, we saw how to allocate net income. We saw how do we allocate net income when there is salary and interest, and we also saw how we calculate the statement of partnership capital. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in our next video.